Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Get Wealth Podcast. We got a special one here today. Michael Llausas, he's a developer, investor, entrepreneur. Even before the podcast, we're getting into some pretty high-level stuff, and I'm really excited to pick your brain and hear your stories. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
No, absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me here. This right here, be able to be on a different platform and speak across, many different platforms and many people is truly what inspires and motivates me. So I appreciate you reaching out, and I appreciate you getting me on here, and obviously just making the time to share a little bit about myself, my story, my company, what we're doing today, what we're doing in today's market, so forth and so on. So again, Michael Llausas, owner of Llausas Estates. I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yeah, of course, man. I think you got a message that needs to be heard. You got a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So let's kind of start with how you got into the real estate space. I know it's like a really broad now. You kind of do everything, but how did that start?
So how I got started into the real estate space was I was going to college. I got a scholarship to play college football. So this is what I call my 30-second elevator speech. So I'm going to try to bring it down to 30 seconds. So I'm going to talk fast. And you can dive in and ask me any more questions on anything you hear. So cool. Let me get into it. So went to college, played high school football, got a scholarship to go play college football. Thank God for that. And then I went into the nursing field. And then throughout college, just the rigorous part of being a collegiate athlete and, having a nursing major. I stopped playing college football due to injuries my junior and senior year. So I needed to fill up my time with something. So I've always had like the investor mindset, and I get that from like my dad, entrepreneur mindset, investor mindset, be your own boss mindset, right? So I started flipping cars. So I went from flipping cars to flipping houses, would I say. But to the in between of that is I started flipping cars. My dad had a really good connection with a friend that had a license and had a lot, like a very small lot, and auto license. So I got to go to auctions and get cars half off. So I was buying cars for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, selling them anywhere from $5,000 to like $7,000. And I hit a really good season. I hit tax season. And I was like in that median, I had cars for $3,000 and cars for $7,000. I never really went over 10. So they would come and buy those things once they get their taxes, and I made a bunch of money. So I made a bunch of money, was sitting on a bunch of money. And then with that being said, I was like, hey, we're like kind of like, what's wealth? Like what brings wealth? How do I take this cash and go park it somewhere? And real estate kept popping up. So real estate kept popping up. I reached out to my parents' realtor at the time. And I then hired him as a mentor. He didn't want to mentor me. I asked him 7 times to mentor me. And on the 7th time, I shot him a screenshot of my bank account. And I said, let's just do a deal together. And that's what kind of sparked all the real estate. So I was very persistent. From the very beginning, I knew that I needed a mentor in order to level up in life. So I hired a mentor, had to beg him. And then as I progressed and I built out flipping, in-house construction, new development, and then the new development, in-house new development construction team. And then with all that influx of cash and opportunity, everyone's in this business to get rich and to get wealthy. So I then started buying rental properties, and short-term and long-term, kind of got them both going on. Got 3 refis happening, hopefully by the end of this month. So we're so actively, buying real estate, and we're not all development right now. So with that being said, I hired couple more mentors along the way, and I invested over 6 figures into my education, and that's kind of how I ended up where I am today at 26 years old.
Wow, that's crazy. And one of the things you mentioned earlier was you're really big on systems and processes, which is, you hear that all the time, and that's a key component to any business that's going to scale. So at what point did you start to systematize the business? Was there like an income level? Was there a confidence level? How did that translate into like putting a team together and systemizing things?
Yeah, so systems and processes and hiring the right people. Systems, processes, people is the number one separator that's going to take you from working in your business to working on your business, and meaning of scaling your business and actually becoming rich and wealthy, right? So like systems, processes, and people, that's like number one thing. So it wasn't really an income thing, because if it was an income thing, probably wouldn't even be there. If my whole mindset was income, I probably would never be there, right? It was a like scalability thing. Like I was, so kind of go back, I worked in my first flip. You know, me and my brother did the floors. I painted. I hired contractors to do like plumbing and electrical and stuff like that. We installed the kitchen cabinets, right? I hired a granite company. Like, so I was working and I was a subcontractor in my first flip. And then that realization that I didn't go back to, I guess I didn't mention this, but I got a nursing degree. I didn't go back to nursing is when I got my first check. And I was like, this is what a nurse makes in a whole year. So, right, scalability, right? So like, how do I do this 3, 4, 5 times a year? So I ended up doing this 3, 4, 5 times, you know, a year. I ended up getting 5 houses. So it gets to a point where you're just working in your properties. I did the demo on my first house. I did the demo on my first house, second house, third house. And then on that 4th house, I was like, I got to hire someone. So that's when I started hiring people. And then we went from 3 to 5 houses, from 5 to 7 houses. So again, reinvesting out of income standpoint, and then 7 to 10 houses. And then I was like, holy crap, like I can't, like I hired project managers and stuff like that. And I'm like, holy crap, I can't do everything. So that's when I hired an assistant. And then throughout this process, you know, systems and processes come from just documentation, documenting everything that you do. You're like, I think some people might get caught up in the terminology of system and process. And like, maybe you have to like, man, I need to take a whole month off and build out all these systems, all these processes. Here's like the number one cheat code is like, simplicity is key. Like just what you do on a daily basis, document it and have it as the mindset. If you're doing something and you never want to do that again, then build a system and process around it. So that's how like we build systems and processes. I'm still building out system processes. I'm tweaking systems and processes. So with that being said, it's like you build it so you can never have to build it again. So how do you do that? You just document what you're doing. So like my assistant takes all that over. She like just this morning, she shot out 2 promissory notes and mortgage deeds for private money lenders that are going to come lend on our deals. Like that just happened this morning. She's setting up a meeting with me for my open up a bank account. I have to open up another business bank account, stuff like that. So the stuff that you do on the daily basis, systems and processes. If you're working in, you know, and if you're in construction like me and you're working in your business, hire a project manager. Then you start documenting what you do, you know, how you would like things. And then also when you get into having that all that built out, you really gotta step away and look at things 30,000 feet high and allow things to fail. And then you go in there and tweak it again and allow things to like, you know, fail. Because if you're always good, if you're always doing great, then there's no comfortability. I mean, there's no growth and you're getting comfortable. And then, and just, again, just huge documentation on building it out. So it was never, to go back to your question, it was never an income thing for me. It was like, how do I scale? How do I do this over and over and over and over again and make as much money quarterly, you know, yearly, so forth and so on. So I had the realization that I cannot do this alone. I tell this to people all the time. I would not be where I'm at 26 years old, doing everything that we're doing without my team. 80% of everything that we're doing goes to my team. Like hats off to my team. I have an amazing assistant. I have amazing project managers. I have amazing partners now. Don't get me wrong. I went through the phase where I had, bad partnerships and stuff like that. But none of this is possible without a team. So you cannot do this alone. My assistant, like, literally runs my life. Like, she does all my scheduling, everything. So you just gotta also have that mindset, and you gotta really ask yourself, ask yourself, do you trust yourself enough to step away? Like, I don't even run my bank accounts anymore. I run obviously my operating account, my bank, like the big bank account with the operating, my personal, but like, I don't send payments no more, none of that. My assistant and my project managers have control over that. Obviously, I could see everything. Now I could see everything, and I'm CC'd in all the emails and stuff like that. But you really got to ask yourself, do you trust yourself to step away? And the moment you step away is the moment you're going to start seeing substantial growth in yourself, in your business. We probably make more money now than me working in the business any day.
And one of the things I heard you say was find the part that you don't want to do anymore and systematize that. Is that how you're getting an idea of what to start with? Like, you're saying, this is what I don't like the most, and so systematize that. or is there a different progression?
So I kind of right and wrong. So it's not what you don't want to do. It's you got to ask yourself the question on who you are as an owner, like who Michael Llausas is, in order to drive revenue for the company, make as much money as possible, and as land as much opportunity as possible. Obviously, for the better good of the company, not for the better good of yourself, but for the company. You need to ask yourself, what is your time best spent? Where is your time best spent? My bad. Where is your time best spent? Is your time best spent sending out emails to refi lenders, working in your projects, doing the floors, sending out payments? No, my time is best spent jumping on and having conversations like this. My time is best spent on having a phone call with a possible mentee. And then you're going to get to a level where your time is best spent on a higher level, right? That's when you hire salespeople and stuff like that. But again, asking yourself, where is your time best spent for the greater good of the company, right? To what drives revenue in the company, and then what opportunity? If I didn't have opportunity for the company, so you can't always be thinking 2022, 2023. You got to be thinking 2025, 2027, right? So like, I like to break it down into this. This is a very long part of question. These are good questions, by the way.
I love it. These are great answers.
Absolutely. So just to answer your question, before I dive into more, just to answer your question, it's not what you want to do. It's more so building systems and processes to buy back your time, building systems and processes to hire the right people, then to buy back your time, because your time as the owner is best spent doing X, Y, and Z. And I don't know whatever X, Y, and Z looks like for you or for everyone that's watching this, but just where is your time best spent? I know my best time, my best time is spent driving revenue for the company, building company culture, always building culture, always staying, texting the people. Like that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Texting your team, having team outings, stuff like that, building company culture and core values. And then number 3 is opportunity for the company in the future. So that's the answer to the question. But to dive into that a little bit more, as Michael Llausas, someone that has a social media platform and on a podcast like this, my time is best spent jumping on a podcast, speaking in front of a platform, and obviously, getting more eyeballs and getting more eyes and putting your name out there, right? But if I didn't have my assistant, if I didn't have systems and processes in place as of right now, I wouldn't even have time. If I was working in my business, doing floors, doing dump runs, checking in on workers, framers, and stuff like that, I wouldn't even have time to be on this podcast, or I wouldn't have time to take a trip to Jamaica where I was just a few months ago and put myself in a room with high-level entrepreneurs, or be a part of a mastermind, or go on yacht days in Miami and be a part of 12 to 13 high-level people. So putting yourself in the room, right? So like that's the biggest thing in hiring the right people and having those systems and processes, because you can hire people, but that's why systems and processes come before people, because you can hire people and they can be the right people, but how are you going to set your people up for success? How are you going to give them the right tools to be successful if you don't have the right systems and processes in place? And let's just like be 100% transparent. Like you got to have skin in the game, especially in this construction world, especially in this flipping world, in this real estate world, in order to do that. So a lot of that comes with time. Like you can't build out the system process right away. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to do a little bit of the work yourself, right? And then the best caveat to that is just document all that. See how you can put that into like a system and a process, and then hire the right people that can fit that job, right?
Yeah. But I think it's almost essential to be able to think at the level you're thinking at, because it's almost like a progression of somebody works and gives their time away for money, and they're turning their wheels, and they only have this amount of bandwidth they can spend thinking about anything else, because they have to spend their time doing their job in order to be able to eat and sleep and have a house and all that. And then once you kind of stray from the herd a little bit and have some success, it's almost like you have like a little bit more breathing room to think about what else is possible. And then like now you're at the point where it's there's been enough systems and processes where you can start thinking about these huge things, like these big developments, like the people that really change the world, they don't have time to think about, this email or like the car breaking, like really low level stuff, because their mind is in this really expansive way of thinking. And you can't think that when you're like in this little ball of your normal day-to-day life. Have you experienced something to that effect, or that's the kind of the way I look at it?
No, 100%. That's exactly it. And just to add to that is getting into those rooms. Like, how do me and you, normal people, right? Like, I didn't come from a trust fund. And if you did come from a trust fund, anyone that's listening to this, hey, nothing against you. I hope you're like, building wealth and changing the world with that money. But I didn't come from a trust fund. I didn't come from money. So with that being said, it's like, how do me and you, normal people, even think about developing $20 million in the best place in, Ohio, or developing a $100 million project, right? It's by putting yourself in those rooms and putting yourself with those high level people. But how do you even get there? You get there by having the right people, the right systems, and the right processes in order to remove yourself out of the business. And here's the thing too, like when I remove myself out of the business, this is why I love living in Columbus and in Florida so much. Because when I fly back into Columbus, I know it's grind mode. Like we got to shoot a bunch of content. We got to get, like, I go check out all the projects. I talk to all my team. Like, again, culture's big, everyone that's part of my mentorship program, we do something. They're mainly from Ohio. We'll get together. We'll do something. So forth and so on. Got to connect with private money lenders, all that good stuff, right? So like when I'm flying back in, it's like grind mode. And when I fly back out, it's more like reflecting mode, right? I look at my business 30,000 feet high. Like my time, I love the mixture of my life because my time is best spent, pulling those private money lenders, talking, running through performas, spreadsheets, having those conversations and stuff like that. And if I'm in the Columbus, Ohio environment, I just know me. You got to know yourself too. You got to know who you are. Don't try to fit someone else's shoe. Know your shoe and wear your shoe to the best of your ability. I know me. I know if something comes up in Columbus, Ohio, I will drop everything to go fix that something to keep it moving, to keep the business moving. So removing myself out of my environment in order to work on my business has truly separated and has truly, I believe is very linear to the success that we have, in Llausas States today. I did the in-house construction. I have rental portfolio. It took me about 3 years of work, full-time work to build that out. And it's really 3.5, but that half year I was still finishing up my college semester. So obviously I wasn't full-time. So I did get my degree and I finished college and all that good stuff. So I say 3 years full-time, and to build all that out, produced, a couple $1 million. Now on this moving into the development space and what we built out in the last 8 months, it's only took us 8 months to build out the development business. So that's crazy. And this is all in correlation to systems, processes, and people. So it took me 3 years to build all that out, right? Like if you get anything from this talk, I know it's a long talk about systems and processes. If you didn't get anything, please just get this. It took me 3 years to build out the systems, processes, and the people for the flipping, the in-house construction, and the rental portfolio. It took me 8 months to build out a multi-million-dollar development company, which we have over $10 million in pipeline development. And out of that 10 million, I think we have about a little over $3 million in the dirt today. No, we're at like 5 million in the dirt today, because we just broke ground on a big project. So we're at about $5 million in the dirt today. It took me 8 months, but that's just a testament to the systems and the processes and the right people from the last 3 years of building has been good, has been accurate, has worked, right? So looking at your business 30,000 feet high, allowing your people to run those systems and processes, allowing them to fail, you step in and you don't say, hey, this isn't, a loss or a failure. This is a lesson learned. We have to get better. This is how we get better, right? 1% better every day. You got to understand that things aren't built overnight either, or even in a year or 2 years. It's just allowing you to remove yourself out of your environment. So I think as business owners, we are the biggest bottleneck to our business, if I made that terminology right. What is it? Is it the business bottleneck to our?
No, you said it right. I've heard. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So how I try to demonstrate this is like, you have a pop or a water bottle, whatever, and you have a cap on your business. Like you ain't going to get that fluid out of that bottle unless you release the cap. As business owners, we are that cap. Unless we release ourselves and allow our people to flow and allow our people to, have failures, have successes and all that, then you're never going to grow. So you got to remove yourself out of your business, allow all that to develop. And that doesn't mean when you have systems and processes and hire the right people, that doesn't mean you just relax now. Because no matter what, paychecks are still coming in and passive income's coming in, and you're still closing these deals and doing this bare minimum. Like if you do the bare minimum, that's when it all fails. And I think a lot of people, in business kind of get a hiccup on that too. Is like when they have the systems and processes and the right people, they remove themselves out of the business and they fail because they're not putting in that same work, have that same grind, have that same vision they had when they were working in the business, right? So like you got to have a very clean line. Like just because you removed yourself out of the business doesn't mean you stop working, stop grinding. Like for me personally, because I invest into myself, like I said, over $100,000 in the course of my career, I invest into myself to be in these rooms. I just want more. I'm not thinking $1 million, $2 million or more. I'm thinking 100, 200 million, right? So it's just, it's a different level. And I know that with that mindset, like it takes work and grind, right? And what's kind of cool is like I have a little proven concept to it, right? I kind of built something. I kind of made some money, I mean? I made what I consider, it's a good living, don't get me wrong, but like it's a fraction of where we're going to be at in the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So like I have a little like, hey, this kind of works. So with that being said, it's like you have to let your people work, and you got to know when to step in, when to not step in, and how you do that. On the back end, 30,000 feet height, wherever your environment, my environment's Florida, wherever your environment is, that allows you to do that. You got to get your mind, you got to have your mind right. Like in order to stay disciplined, in order to still wake up to the gym, like to be honest, like don't have to wake up and go to the gym every morning. Don't have to do this. Don't have to be disciplined because the money comes in. I have people that, produce for the business. I have passive income and all that, but that's not what got me there. So why would I ever drift off the path of what got me there, right? So it's just being disciplined and having that right mindset. And so far, so good. Worked out. Love my team. Like I said, what you guys see, Llausas Estates and everything that we're doing, 80% of that goes to my team. I wouldn't be able to do none of this without my team.
That's awesome, man. Well, one of the parts that sticks out to me is the timeline that you're able to do all this. So 3 years to build it out, and now you're, however long into it. 5 years is about, on average, the time I hear from everyone on this podcast. And I'm like, how long does it take to get to a point where you like break free from the rat race, or the matrix, or whatever you want to call it? And it tends to be about 5 years. And someone with a really small mindset looks at that and like, oh man, I don't want to spend 5 years doing something. But then they're willing to spend 40 years working a minimum wage job so they can have 10 years to live a life where they're the oldest and the most least useful they'll ever be. It's like, it's such a brainwashing to think that spending 5 years of really hard disciplined work is a long time. Like to me, that's so quick the way you're talking about it. Like you're 26 years old. That's insane. Most people don't do that, what you've done in their entire life. So I'd say props to you for that. That's a really good timeline.
No, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much, man. Absolutely. But again, like you said, like what you just explained is just, that's what society has taught us, right? So like the number one thing to your cheat code, everyone wants a cheat code of life. Everyone wants to skip the line, right? Just be that person, right? So the number one thing to get there, your cheat code to life, skipping the line, is to invest into mentorships, invest into being into the room, because you're not only investing for that, you're buying back your time, really, what you are. So, again, I appreciate that, really do humbly thank you for that. I'm honored. But the reason why we were able to build everything out in such a short amount of time is because I took the risk and invested into being in the right rooms, invested to go to the retreats, invested for the mentorships, all that stuff, right? I bought back my time. So what someone can do working very hard and being very disciplined and very consistent in 5 years, doing the real, like really putting the work in, can look themselves in the mirror every day and say, hey, I gave 120%, right? Even it still might take you 5 years, but to reduce that, and this is no guarantee at all, but to reduce that, what I think, my opinion, the the fastest way to skip the line and the best cheat code of life is investing into a mentorship. That whatever your field. So like anytime I get into something, I invest into a mentorship. Like I'll just invest in something. I've lost, I mean, not lost because it's lessons. I still learn something from it,
Right.
but some were less effective than others. I'm 5,000, 20,000, whatever. Some were less effective than others. But with that being said, that's like your number one. How do you buy back your time?
Yeah, because that's, I mean, if you think about what's the most valuable, time is way more than money, right? You don't get more of that. You can always make more money. So why not cheat code and skip the line with money?
Yeah, that's powerful. That's huge. That's powerful. Yeah, because you can always make money. There's so much money out here, man. It's ridiculous. I have conversations every week, and I go back at the end of the week. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing enough. I'm too small. I'm not doing enough. There's so much money out here. But one thing you can't buy back is your time, like you just said.
So when did you start, or when did development come into your vision, or how did you get introduced to it? And what was that process like of going from like fix and flip to doing these big builds?
Exactly. You said it right there, from fix and flip to new builds. That's kind of what me wanting to go into the development field resulted in. I hate it. I hate fix and flip.
Okay.
Like I hate fix, and I'm not talking about your quick, like we just bought one where we're refinancing out of it now. We were done with that one in 30 days. I like your cosmetic $30,000 to $50,000 fix and flips. Cosmetic, I like those because we can be in and out, 30 to 45 days. But I've done full guts, foundation repairs, repair the whole foundation. Basement beam, sub pumps, kind of rebuilt it from the ground up. So I hate like big budget fix and flips, full gut fix and flips. Because here's the thing. The reason why I hate's a strong word, but the reason why I don't like doing it is because in that same amount of time, in that same amount of process, I could build a new construction from the ground up. And one thing that I can do in the new construction that I can't do in the fix and flip, full gut fix and flip, is systematize. I can systematize new construction. I can put a system, a process, and the people into it in order to scale it, aka kind of result into us building this big development big development branch. In 8 months, is we can systemize. We can have the same excavator go to lot 1, 2, and 3. We can have the same foundation guy go to lot 1, 2, and 3. Same framer, lot 1, 2, and 3. Right? Same roofer, lot 1, 2, and 3. So we know how to build. Obviously, we know how to fix and flip. There's a process. There's a step to everything. So you can have the same person in the new construction do that, and obviously you're going to get a better discount because you're giving them more business. So how do you even systematize that? Obviously we have 6 in the dirt in the city, like all throughout the city, all within 10 minutes. You can get each job site within 10, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? But how do you even systematize that? Is you become a preferred builder in a subdivision, which we just did, and you get access to 10, 15, 20 lots, and you have the same excavator go from lot 1, 2, and 3, and you're all in the same area. You set up your trailer, you have all your project managers, you have the assistant on site, you have everyone in one location. Your lumber drops to one. If there's an inventory mess up, then you send it back and you get it back over on site, and you're right by the Lowe's store or Home Depot, and it's so much more systematized. You're saving so much more time. So becoming a preferred builder is really what's going to catapult the development side for us. Because again, lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get those to the finish stage, and then we start, lot 5 to 10.
How would you compare the profitability of fix and flip to new construction?
See, that's another thing too. So like new construction and easier, it makes more money. Like we're talking about buying back our time and like, where's our time best spent? It's easier and it makes more money. And what does the world need? More housing. Like always going to need more housing, right? So the profits are double, triple.
That's so cool.
You go into a fix, it's honestly triple. Like you go into a fix and flip, you have all these problems. You can never systemize. You can never systematize a fix and flip, because once you open up those walls, every house is different, right? So, I mean, you could put a system and process to it, which we have. We flip very well. Like on my flips, for the last 6 flips that we've done, I stepped on site maybe 3 times on each of them because we put a
Wow.
system process in
Yeah.
place. But they were all cosmetic, so
Mhm.
I haven't done a full gut yet like that. But I think on a full gut, I stepped on site maybe 10 times is the last one. But with that being said, just the profits we're making bare minimum 150 on each new construction.
Yeah.
Like profit. On a fix and flip, you can do that. It's just
Yeah. And kind of going into the topic of the changing market, I think everyone goes crazy, especially because I would say to me, it seems like more people do fix and flip than they do new build. And so you get a lot of the feedback of people in the changing market that are doing flips and losing money because these people are shooting for like, 40, 50 grand on their profits. And then, it's not a stretch to say that your budget goes over like 30 grand because something you didn't forecast. And so all of a sudden you have something go over budget, the market changes, and now you're losing money because you have like 50 grand to play with. But if you're making 150 grand, and you have systems, so it's harder to go out of budget. It seems like now it's just a matter of like, you're not working in the negative anymore. You're just working not as much in the positive if the market changes.
100%. You said it. Can't say it any better. You said 100% correct, and that's why we made the transition in the new construction. That's simply why it's more time efficient. We get paid more on our time spent into the project. It's more time efficient. It's an easier system and process. And we're not one project being off and now we're in the negative. There's a lot of meat on these new constructions. Yeah, and don't get me wrong, we still we mess up. I think we had a $15,000 change order in framing that we had to do. I mean, this house that we're building is we're going to list it for $1.3 million. So, it's a huge house. So a 15K change order, I don't even think it was 15, I think it was like 10 or 12. It's really not that much because it's a big house and we're selling it for 1.3. So we better get all that correct now because this $1.3 million buyer is going to want everything to be pristine and perfect. So we noticed that. But so there's still change orders, but your contingency is a lot. There's a lot. You said it right. No need to complicate it. There's just a lot more meat on the bones in order to make those type of numbers and kind of make it work. So definitely going to continue to fix and flip. When an opportunity arises, an opportunity arises at the end of the day. So I get that question a lot. Like, are you going straight development? No, we're going where the opportunity is. So if we have a fix and flip full gut, a beach house, or something, a house on the lake or something luxurious in, the better parts of Ohio, and we buy it for $500, $700, $1 million and need to put $200-300 into it, but we could sell it for $2 million and we're going to make anywhere from $500,000 and up, or even $300,000 or $200,000, and we're going to go fix and flip that thing to the best of our ability as quick as possible.
Yeah. How much more work is it to build 10 houses at once than it is to just build one house at once? Is it any more work?
No, I love this question because that's another reason why we stepped into the new construction process. The same effort to develop a single family, you can develop 10 single families. The same efforts and processes to develop a 4-unit, you can develop a 50-unit. It's just more money, obviously. It's more time on the front end, architecturals. Like, you want to get all that. Developing a piece of land into a single family or multifamily, whatever, it all happens on the paper. It needs to all happen on the paper. Like, it literally all happens on the paper on every step of the way. So it's just more money, more time spent with your architect or whatever, and then just more manpower. So like the same process to build a 4-unit is the same process to build a 50-unit. Same as that process. Same as that. Damn near the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy. So no, are you spending are you just looking for any opportunity, or within development, are you focusing on single family, or would you build, if the opportunity came, like a 200-unit apartment building? How does that work for you?
Yeah, for sure. Always looking for bigger and better opportunity. Love the single family. We actually have a 3-phase 17-unit that we're building right now. It's going to be a 4-unit, 6-unit, and 7-unit. So we have that in motion right now. And I mean, I just got sent a 200-unit not too long ago. If the capital comes, we'll build it. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll do it. We haven't built a 200-unit before, but I think, with the right investing into the right mentorships and being around the right people and having the right platform, I think anything is possible. So if anyone's listening, like in social media, you got to build a brand. I mean, not in social media, in business, you got to build a brand. Like, you'll never see me not wear this logo. Like, I wear this to the gym. I wear this. The only time I don't wear it is to sleep. So I wear it to the gym. I wear it out, like, dinners, night out in town, whatever it may be. I wear it everywhere because number one separator in business is building a brand. You want someone to correlate who you are. And with that being said, I think anyone that has a massive brand can attest to this. You can have any question answered at the dial phone call. So when it comes to saying, hey, are you scared of building a 200? I'm absolutely not scared. Do I know how to do it? No, I do not. Can I figure it out 100%? And everyone says, like, well, you don't know how to do it. You can figure it out. I love the mindset, but can you really figure it out? Yes, we can really figure it out because we have enough people around us that can, help us.
Yeah. With these big builds like that with 200 units, I've heard that's a really profitable strategy moving forward within the dropping market, because these big institutional lenders are looking to place their money in something like that because we're turning into this renters nation. And so if you can build like a new product at cost, I mean, it seems to me like that's going to be a play that would be, at least for the next 10 years. But right now, are you like, you're looking at the back end, making a spread on like selling it, and then you're taking a profit? Are you keeping any of these?
So what we have in the dirt right now, we're not keeping. Obviously, that 17 unit we're going to keep. So like the 3-phase 17 unit, 6, 4, and 7, we're keeping that one. So any multifamily we're developing, we're keeping that one. These single families we're not keeping because they're luxury builds, and we want to sell them. So we like to have like we like to have a nice pot. We like to, obviously make a bunch of money, influx of cash into the pot. We like to build wealth in the pot, and then we like to always have, liquid for opportunity in the pot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, it's like with these new constructions we have in the dirt, we're talking a couple to a few $1 million in net profit. Net profit, right? After everyone's paid off, after taxes are paid off of that. So that's real money that we can then take, and we can take $1 million of that and go park it and go develop multifamily, right? So we can take a portion of that and go stabilize it for wealth, and then obviously cash flow. So I don't try to get too complicated. Like, you got to make money in order to do anything. Like, money it's a powerful tool. Not the only tool, but it's a powerful. You got to have money first. You got to make the money.
Right.
Then you can talk about stabilizing a 200 unit and stuff like that. So that's kind of my perception, is make money. And then, we got to write something off on taxes, right? So we'll just go park that money, or we'll go move it somewhere, so forth and so on. But to answer your question.
So with the growth of your business and kind of the success you've had, what's your mindset regarding spending money? Are you like really frugal? I know there's like two schools of thought, and people do this all across the board. Are you spending money like only back into the business and like, living conservatively, or how do you go about, enjoying some of the things in life that you've worked hard for? Like, what's your framework? Do you have a budget? Do you just go by intuition, or what does your mind look like regarding that topic?
Yeah, I've never got asked this question. I love this question. I've been on podcasts and in front of the camera, of course, but I've never got asked this question. I love it. So I think, to answer your question, I think there's phases in life. There was a phase in life where I was that dumb guy that was making money via real estate, known as a real estate guy, making money, and I would go spend $5,000 in the club, $7,000 in the club, $10,000 in the club. Popping bottles and that status and stuff like that. So for me to answer your question, I think I'm a little bit of everything. And I'll kind of
Yeah.
I'll end the answer to your question where I'm at currently in life. So when I first started making money, I was spending money. I still have money to invest. I was making a bunch of money and I was spending money. I was traveling. Do I regret that? No, because a lot of those popping bottles have got me in conversations with the owners and stuff like that will either be a private money lender, soon be a private money lender, or soon do a deal together. So I think about it in that aspect. I don't regret it, right? And then I went through a stage where I didn't spend no money at all, like nothing, saved everything. And I didn't like that either. Like, why the hell am I working so hard if I can't enjoy the fruits of my labor, right? So
Mhm.
I really didn't like that either. But I saved a bunch of cash and landed myself into some great opportunities. And then where I'm at currently in life is if you want to enjoy a lifestyle, you just got to make more money. Like we said in the beginning of the podcast, there's so much money out there, right? But one thing we can't get back is time and memories.
Mhm.
So if I want to go take a vacation with my family or my girlfriend to Greece or to Tokyo or whatever, and it's going to cost me $10,000, swipe the Amex. We're going. If that's what you guys want to do, we're going to do that because that's going to create a memory that's going to last a lifetime. I'm not worried about that $10,000. What I'll do is come up with a creative way between now and then or when we get back to make $10,000. So if you want to enjoy life, go make more money, right? So that's kind of where I am in life right now. Is I don't have a hesitation to anything. If we want to do it, if my family wants to do it, then we're gonna do it, and we'll make the money. So that's one part of it. Number two is lifestyle. I live in Florida and I live in Columbus, Ohio. I live in a very nice place in Columbus, Ohio. Like I said, I think before we got onto this conversation, I live in about $1 million neighborhood in Columbus, Ohio, and I live in a very nice place in Florida where it's a private gated community right on the lake. The house is not exactly on the lake, but it's right by the lake, 2 minutes away, and that costs, lifestyle costs. So, but at what cost are you willing to give, right? So I'm willing to go make more money. I'm willing to go add more cash flow, more passive income to my name to pay for my living expenses to have that lifestyle. Because that lifestyle brings me happiness, and if I'm happy, then I know I can operate at a high level. If I operate at a high level, what does that mean? We make more money, we land more opportunity, we get into more bigger projects, we do everything that we're designed to do in business, right? So I'm a big advocate in lifestyle, like strategically, like don't live above your means, but I've lived above my means before too. So that's, I've been on both sides. Don't live above your means. But my whole mindset right now is how can I create the cash flow to create the lifestyle that I want? So again, cash flow, right? So I live passively where through passive income, my Columbus, Ohio expenses are living expenses are taken care of. And Florida, my living expenses are taken care of. And then I just added a Tesla, an $80,000 Tesla to the fleet. And before I got that Tesla, I had a goal that I had to, I think when I did my passive income, I needed like 3 more rentals to conservatively pay for that Tesla payment on top of what I was already making. And then obviously you got to have some reserves too. Like you can't just spend all your passive on luxury. So you got to have some reserves too. So I did 3 rentals and I got that, and then I bought the Tesla. So all that is paid through passive income, right? AKA rental properties. And then I want to buy another Tesla for Columbus. So I want another Tesla for Columbus. But before I do that, and you guys will probably see it on social media, I'll probably put a story behind it. I need to acquire 4 more rentals. So I need to acquire 4 more rentals that will pay for that Tesla that I want. So I have a Tesla in Florida. I want a Tesla in Columbus, Ohio. Or by the time that comes around, I might not want that Tesla, but I want that like a nice expensive car for Columbus, Ohio. And I don't want it just to show off. I want it for a status thing. When I pull up to the gym, when I pull up, to a bar, or when I go into dinner, he drives this. He gets out the car like this. It's a conversation starter, right? So with that being said, my mindset right now is if I want something luxury in life, I'm gonna get it. But how do I strategically get it? I get it through acquiring assets that are gonna cash flow for me that can pay for themselves, right? And for me, that is real estate. I know there's like passive through Bitcoin and stuff like that. But for me, that's real estate and that's building wealth. So not only am I having cash flow to pay for my lifestyle, but I'm also, debt buy down. So my tenant, whoever's
Correct.
leasing my real estate, is buying down my debt. So paying off my mortgage, which means what? It just creates more wealth for me as far as
Right.
equity, stuff like that. So that's kind of my answer to your question. But also it kind of goes back to, in order to get to that point in life, you had to go through some stuff. So at the end of the day, man, like, just be smart. If you're investing into mastermind, like I keep going back into mastermind mentorships because they're going to teach you all this. If you're investing into the right places, they're going to teach you how to be with your money. You know what I mean? How to enjoy life, but still build assets and wealth. And here, typically recently, like so this is weird. I just went to the mall yesterday and I bought Travis Scott's ones and 2 pairs of Balenciagas, right? So I spent like $3,000.
Yeah.
And I was so hesitant, and I had people with me, and I was so hesitant to buy these things. Like, I was so hesitant. Obviously, I make enough money, income, stuff like that. I was so hesitant to buy these things because where I'm at in life right now is I haven't bought anything for myself. Like, even the Tesla wasn't for me. The Tesla was for my girlfriend. I bought that for my girlfriend. So like, that was a token of her appreciation for sacrifice, because she went through a lot. When I first started my business, she was there. So she went through a lot. We can get into another podcast on that another day, but she went through a lot. She sacrificed. So I promised her that. So I got her that. So forth and so on. I don't spend nothing. My mom was in Vegas. My parents were in Vegas the other day, and I just sent them like $2,000. And I said, hey, just, stay an extra day, have fun on me. Like, I'll easily do that. I did a turkey giveaway. I think it came out to like $3,500 or $3,800. Swipe the card, let's do it. Just did a toy giveaway. We adopted some kids for Christmas, and made their wish list come true. Couple $1,000 there, right? So I will never hesitate to give away, but like I don't really buy anything for myself. So I was so hesitant. And then everyone around me was like, dude, you deserve it. Like, you got this, and that, you deserve it. So I think you get to a point where you make money, you spend it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right? Just be conscious of it. And then you get to a point where you're making money and it's not even about you. You're so focused on the future. Like, you're so focused on 2023, like what Q4 is going to look like, what we got in the pipeline. And then you get to a point where, like, it's honestly better to give than to spend on your money. Like, for where I'm at personally in life, it's like I get more fulfillment on giving, whether that be my time, my knowledge, my money. I just feel more alive doing that than going to buy myself Balenciagas or buy myself an expensive pair of shoes or something like that.
Yeah, I think not being able to do that, being broke, is one of the most selfish things you can do. You just talked about, in that one paragraph there, you probably just talked about how you helped like 50 people. Like, I don't know. It's just you having that ability is creating so much for the people around you. So this, the paradigm of, more money means you're, in some way like greedy or like materialized thing. That's not the case at all. All the conversations I have with people that are doing really well or at a high level always say that. It's that they get the most from giving. So I think that's just a great example.
Yeah, that's the pinnacle of fulfillment for me, is giving back. I love it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Last couple of things to wrap up here. I always like to ask, what's a book you would recommend?
Like starting off, or what like starting off, or right now in life, like what?
From where you are right now, what's a book that's given you some sort of value in whatever way? It could be business, just mindset, relationships, anything, from where you are right now.
All right. I think there's 2 books for where I'm at in life right now. One will be Life and Air. I forgot who the author is, but it's just spelled like millionaire, Life and Air. It kind of teaches you on, it's not always about money.
Okay.
Right. And we can be millionaires and make a bunch of money, but how is our life, right? Like, how is our life? So again, hence the title Life and Air. I'm not going to get too deep into it because you got to read it, but Life and Air. And that, what I just explained previously, like that last 5 minutes of me talking, is like stems from that book. And then Ed Mylett, The One. Is it called The One, or?
I think it's yeah. I think it might be the one.
It's
Something like that.
Yeah. I always say it because I'm like, and the reason why I love this book so much is because I'm the one in my family. Pretty sure it's called The One. So I'm definitely the one in my family. As far as I guess I get into that another day, but yeah, it's called The Power of One More.
The Power. Okay.
The Power of One More, yeah, by Ed Mylett. That would be another book. Because like with that being said, it's like for me personally, I'm the one in my family. Like I feel like I'm the one. I was blessed with this platform, so every day that I wake up, I want to take advantage of it and live it to the fullest of my abilities, right? And the power of one more, whether that be one more set in the gym, or that be one more phone call, or one more private money lender. For example, just Friday, the power of one more, making one more connection through a mastermind that I invest into. I have a problem with asking people for favors. I reached out to them. Right. It was at the end of the day. This was at like 6 o'clock. I reached out to him. I needed a deal funded. Like now, he connected me with a lender. Just the power of one more, spending that extra hour in the office trying to get this deal funded, and it's funded like that. Right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So power of one more. So that's huge right now. Starting off, obviously, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Everyone, it's so cliche, but that is the foundation. Everything that we just talked about financially stems from that book. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, starting off. Like if you haven't read it, read it. That's the foundation. And then I really like the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I don't think that book is like sustainable. I don't think you can always 10X, but it catapulted me from going from 3 deals to 7 deals to 7 deals to 10 deals. And then how do we go to, building 4 units. So I think I'm gonna go back and read that book, because where I'm at in life right now, how do we build 4 units, go from building 4, 6, 7 units to 100, to 200?
Yeah. Cool, man. Where can people find you? Social media, all that good stuff.
So again, Michael Llausas, owner of Llausas Estates. They can find me on Instagram at Llausas10, LLAUSAS 10. And then on Instagram, you can kind of go and find all my other social media platforms. YouTube, type in my name, Michael Llausas, MICHAELLLAUSAS, and same on TikTok and so forth and so on. Facebook.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think anybody that listened to this is much better off than they were before. So I appreciate you sharing your knowledge, and I look forward to watching all your success as you move forward, because it's definitely coming.
100%. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time. I know when I get into a topic, I go. So
That's awesome.
I hope I answered all your questions. Do you have any more questions you had written down? I can answer them quickly if you need.
Nope, that was it, man. You got it. So
we exhausted in an hour. That's perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for everyone that's watching. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you having me on here. It's a blessing. It's an honor. And nonetheless.
All right. Michael Llausas, get wealthy, everybody.